In today's video, we are going to make the track pieces for our train. So in the last video, you should have finished making some different train cars. And let's start by selecting our front train engine. And we're going to snap the 3D cursor to that object. So Shift S, go to the bottom option, cursor to selected, and you'll see that the 3D cursor has moved over. Let me take just a second and turn on the screencast of the keys so you can see what I'm hitting. Okay, now that we have the 3D cursor over by our train engine, we'll press Shift A, Mesh, Cube, and we'll have this cube that we're going to turn into the train track pieces. Let's grab that on the X-axis for me. If you see the green line, you'll use the Y-axis and scale it down. There's not a certain size, just make it smaller. And then I'm going to grab that on the Z-axis and just put it down below where the wheels are. Now we'll readjust this in a little bit, but move it so it's out in front of your train a little bit and down below the train. Okay, next we'll hit S to scale, and I want to make it wider. So for me, that's the Y-axis. And I want it to be wider than the train. This will be the wooden pieces that uh, when you have train tracks that go from the left right of the tracks. Next, let's go into edit mode by hitting tab, and we're going to cut this in half by putting our excuse me, by putting the mouse right here in the center. Press Control R, then double click, and that will divide that in half. Now I'm going to switch to vertices select. Select this left side and delete that. We'll add the mirror modifier, so everything we do on the right will be copied to the left. So go to the Properties panel, find the Modifier tab, click Add, and type in Mirror. It will search for that. And for mine, I will turn X off and turn Y on to get that other half. Next, we're going to put, put the metal rail part on top of the wooden post. So let's do a loop cut again. So Control R. And I want this one to be on the inside of the wheel, something like that. Control R here on the right, left click, slide it out so you have a wide platform for the wheel to sit on, and left click. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered, and it doesn't have to be exactly like mine, but something like that should work okay. Next, let's go to face select here in the top. Select this top face, hit E to extrude, and pull it up just a little bit, something like that. So you can make it about the same thickness of the wooden piece, maybe a little bit smaller. There's not really a right or wrong. Still in face select, we're going to select the back part of this and extrude that out something like this. I might actually move it out a little farther. Once again, there's not a right or a wrong. You don't want it too short, and you don't want it way too long, but I guess in comparison, take how wide this wooden piece is and make this roughly the same length. Okay, now let's select this front face and we'll shift select the back face, and we're going to delete those. Delete and then faces. The reason we do this, we're going to array this or repeat it, and where these connect, sometimes you get some weird texturing issues if there's a face hidden on the inside, and this way there'll be no hidden inside faces. Next, we're going to add some loop cuts so that this piece has vertices to bend around as we make it curve around the track, because right now there's a place here and here, but there's no places in the middle for it to bend. So we'll hit Control R near the middle of this piece and roll this up. I don't know, we'll say 15 times, give or take. It will vary a little bit on how long yours is, but as long as there's a bunch. And I'll do the same thing on this part. Control R, and we'll do 4 or 5 for that. And this will allow the shape to deform as it curves and goes up and down. Okay, that completes the actual modeling of the train piece. So we'll switch back, or train track piece, I should say. We'll switch to object mode, and we'll go ahead and apply the mirror modifier. We don't need to make any changes to that anymore. Let's add an array modifier, and this modifier will allow us to repeat this. For the moment, we're going to leave these settings alone, but once we make our path that the track is going to go on, we can change this so that it repeats exactly enough to fit on the area that we're making for it. Okay, the next few steps won't make a lot of sense right now, but we're going to do a few things that will make our life easier once we start building the scene with the train on the tracks. So for right now, trust me, there is some method to my madness. Take your train track and let's hit Shift D to duplicate, and we're just going to move this over to the side. We basically are going to put this piece here on the right onto a path where the train track will go. But we don't know yet exactly how big or small this should be, so we're going to end up scaling this. But if we change the scale of this, it will no longer fit our train piece. So we're going to set this up so that when we change the scale of this track, the train will also scale correctly. To do that, let's go into the property shelf by hitting N, and let's apply the scale to this piece. So Control A and scale. And all of these numbers should turn to 1. Go ahead and select our other train piece. Do the same thing, Control A and scale. So all of these numbers are 1. We're going to select, we'll use X, it shouldn't matter. Right click, and we want to copy as new driver. So we've taken the scale of this piece on the right, we've hovered over that, right click, copy as new driver. Select our second train piece, come to the scale for X, right click, paste driver. We'll go to Y, click paste driver, and Z, and paste driver. What should happen now, and just watch, you don't have to do this part. If I hit S to scale this, my other track will scale with that. Next, we want our train to be part of this connection. We're going to select the engine, the second car, the third car, the fourth car, and the fifth car. We're not going to select the wheels because they are already parented to these pieces and they will scale along with these. So we've selected the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth piece of our train. Shift select the train track piece here last. We're going to parent these by hitting Control P and Object. So as we scale this piece, our train scales and my wheels do not. My wheels are not scaling because I forgot to parent them in the previous video. So let me fix that real fast. If yours are scaling correctly, you don't have to redo this second step, but you can see that mine were not. So let me quickly finish fixing these. So now when I hit S to scale, everything scales together. And this will allow us to adjust our train track once we have it in place, but also adjust the train to fit accordingly. So that is all for this video. In the next video, we'll start building a simple landscape and preparing it to put the train tracks on.